Finland has shut down its border crossings with Russia, suspecting Moscow of orchestrating a migration crisis. Finland Prime Minister Petteri Orpo said the government has decided today to close additional border crossings. The Raja Giuseppe crossing will be the only one remaining open. Border guards and soldiers have started the installation of barriers, including concrete obstacles topped with barbed wire, at crossing points along the extensive border between the Nordic country and Russia. This measure aims to enhance control over the influx of undocumented migrants, as stated by officials. In November, around 600 migrants lacking proper visas and documentation, predominantly from the Middle East and Africa, arrived in Finland. This marked a significant increase compared to the few dozen arrivals in September and October. The group of migrants includes individuals from Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Yemen, Kenya, Morocco, and Somalia, according to border officials. We need to take these measures to maintain order at the crossing points and ensure the security of legal border traffic, stated Tommi Turkkanen, deputy commander of the Kainuu Border Guard District in eastern Finland. Russia has expressed regret over Finland's decision to close the checkpoints and has rejected claims by Finnish authorities that Russia is deliberately encouraging the influx of migrants at the border as a form of punishment for Finland's NATO membership. Kainuu District oversees the monitoring and surveillance of 2 out of Finland's 9 crossing points along the 1,340-kilometer border with Russia. This border serves as the European Union's external border and constitutes NATO's northeastern flank. This includes the Varsius border station, which is one of the 2 remaining Finnish crossing points that process asylum applications from migrants arriving from Russia. The Finnish government made the decision to close for active Russia border crossings in southeastern Finland due to suspicions of misconduct by Russia's border officials. Finnish Foreign Minister Elina Valtonen said, "Undoubtedly Russia is instrumentalizing migrants as a component of its hybrid warfare against Finland." Finland, after decades of military non-alignment and pragmatic friendly relations with Moscow, joined NATO in April 2023. Valtonen added, "We have proof showing that not only Russian border authorities are letting people without proper documentation to the Finnish border, but they are also actively helping them to the border zone." Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova stated that Russian authorities are prepared to collaborate with Finnish officials to reach an agreement on the border issue. She argued that Finland should have put forward its concerns to work out a mutually acceptable solution or receive explanation. The Russian Foreign Ministry summoned the Finnish ambassador in Moscow to formally protest the closure of the most heavily utilized checkpoints on the border. Between 30 to 70 migrants are arriving daily at the Varsius checkpoint in Kainuu and the Salla checkpoint in Finland's Arctic Lapland region. These areas experience winter conditions with temperatures dropping to -20 degrees Celsius and substantial snowfall. Andrei Chibis, the governor of Russia's northern Murmansk region that has a border with Finland, shared images of migrants in a tent near the Salla checkpoint, established by regional authorities to provide warmth, food, and hot tea. He characterized the situation as a humanitarian crisis and criticized Finnish authorities, asserting that foreign citizens can't cross the border to the Finnish side. Border guard data and images from news outlets indicate that the majority of migrants are young men in their 20s, although there are also families with children and women among them. Finland, with a population of 5.6 million, opted to join NATO in direct response to Russia's war with Ukraine. Many view Moscow's maneuvers with migrants as a form of retaliation against Helsinki's decision to align with the Western military alliance. However, analysts note that Russia's primary motive for such actions remains unclear. On the other side, the European Border Protection Agency Frontex is planning to deploy 50 border guards and additional staff to Finland in order to enhance the country's border security, responding to the surge in the number of asylum seekers crossing from Russia. In a statement released on November 23, Frontex announced its intention to send a significant reinforcement to Finland. The deployment is expected to be on the ground as early as next week, with the first group of officers set to arrive on November 29 to augment the existing mission of 10 officers. The additional personnel will include border surveillance officers, support for migrant registration, document experts, and interpreters. Recent events have intensified tensions between Finland and Russia, particularly with Finland's decision to completely close its borders to Russian citizens. Previously, vehicles with Russian license plates faced restrictions, but the new policy now prohibits entry for all Russian citizens. It seems that Finland will continue to claim that Russia is intentionally directing migrants to its border as the reason for this decision, although Russia disputes these allegations. The situation escalated further when the husband of Margarita Simonyan, editor-in-chief of Russia Today, issued a threat of invasion against Finland. The threat of invasion was in response to Finland's refusal to accept the alleged illegal migrants that Russia is accused of sending across their border. Anton Geshenko, advisor to the Minister of Internal Affairs of Ukraine, shared a video clip on Twitter highlighting this threat. It's crucial to highlight that Russian television has a history of broadcasting threats against various nations. Previously, Germany, for example, was targeted with warnings suggesting that Berlin would end up in flames. The televised threats are often subject to debate regarding their seriousness. Analysts point to the pattern of such rhetoric on Russian state TV, cautioning against interpreting these statements as concrete plans of action. It's important to consider the broader context and historical patterns when assessing the potential implications of such statements. Estonian Interior Minister Lauri Lainemets has stated that Estonia will not allow migrants sent by Russia onto its soil. Instead, they will be stopped at the border. Estonian authorities expressed surprise that none of the border crossers from Russia are applying for asylum, unlike those at Finnish border crossings who apply for asylum in large numbers. This difference in behavior is attributed to varying practices between Finnish and Estonian border authorities. In Estonia, the border can be enforced more effectively, particularly at the Narva-Jõgi Bridge, the sole crossing point over a river along the Estonian-Russian border in the northeastern city of Narva. If newcomers appear to be part of an operation orchestrated by Russian authorities, they will be prevented from entering Estonia to apply for asylum. Estonia is actually prepared to close its borders if Finland's decision exerts pressure, but as of now, it has not opted to close the border crossings on its eastern border due to the situation not being deemed serious enough. Minister Lainemets stated, "If Finland's decision to close most of its border crossings increases the pressure on the Estonian border, we will reconsider the situation." Additionally, Norwegian Minister of Justice Emilie Enger Meld has announced that Norway is prepared to consider closing checkpoints on its border with the Russian Federation. This statement comes in response to reports of the closure of 4 checkpoints on the border between Finland and Russia.